Power on. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. Device connected.
That's Kevin. Can you hear me okay?
Linda Camp, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Can the host hear me okay?
Hear me, Kevin?
Whoever the host is, there are a couple of, so Kim Sella is only listed as an attendee, not a panelist, so we need to get her upgraded to panelist.
I'm good now, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay.
Kevin, can you hear me? This is Tammy.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, Kim, congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much. We're very excited. Thank you about that. I wasn't expecting to see my face shining brightly at me when I opened the agenda, but thank you for that.
Okay, Miss Carter just emailed me and she says that she is on mute. If that can be fixed, please.
Sorry, I was muted on the other end. Mrs. Carter, were you the one that called in on your cell phone or on a desk phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
You've
hear
been
me?
unmuted. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what's happening. I can't even access the app today.
Alrighty.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I can't see everybody. So will you let me know, Kim, will you let me know when everybody is there, please?
I think we're good to go.
You think so? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start with roll call, I suppose. Deborah Carter,
Kimberly Selachire.
Kevin Scott.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
This is Talby.
Oh, hi, Toby. Okay.
Hi,
Rick.
Patrick Miller.
Kevin Scott.
Oh, God, Kevin. Who was before Kevin?
Ray Golick.
Thank you.
Paul Hample.
Rachel Major.
Ted Zimmerman.
Is that everyone?
Ms. Carter, this is Jessica Mefford Miller. Did you get both me and Tammy Fulbright?
I did not get Tammy. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. I cannot log into the app, so I'm going at this blind. So just bear with me. Okay, so is that everyone?
Did you get James Cotter? He's here as well. I wasn't sure if you
I
heard
did.
him.
I did not. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Old business updates. Paul, I'm just going to ask you because I really haven't heard from Chris. Is he no longer going to be attending our meetings? Do you know?
Well, I have not heard that. I'd be surprised if that was the case, but I don't have firsthand knowledge of that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Then we'll start with you and any updates that you have.
Well, there's been very little coming out of the county executive's office of import that doesn't show up in the news, but of particular interest right now are the discussions between the county executive's office and the mayor of St. Louis and the executive staff at the convention center about how best to divide the settlement money from the Rams lawsuit. So a couple of those funds with cash from ARPA and the CARES Act, and we do feel like we have a unique and historic opportunity, financially speaking, to make some real headway in our region. And as has been pretty well publicized, the CE has joined with the mayor of St. Louis in supporting the call for a good hard look at how to expand MetroLink north and wherever else it needs to go. So for this commission's purposes, those are the two most relevant topics right now from the county executive standpoint.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jessica, I don't really, well, thank you for sending us the performance update. I don't really have any questions for you, but I don't know if anyone else does. So unless you just want to go over it, you don't have to. I just put this on here in case anyone had any questions or comments.
No, I think I'll just reserve my time for answering any questions that the committee may have. Otherwise, I'll cede that time to the next presenter.
Okay, great. Are there any questions or comments for Jessica?
I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to ask if everyone got a copy of the 2022 meeting schedule.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And I just wanted to point out that the meetings will continue via video conference until further notice. Okay?
Thank you.
That's fine. Thanks.
Okay. We'll move on to new business. Metro?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I just was going to go over a couple of very quick things. Obviously, and this is Talby. I think all of you know me at this point. Obviously, as an organization, we are responding and have been rocked, obviously, by one of our drivers who's the victim of violence in the county. We are, however, very grateful to the Major Case Squad and the response of the county and County SL Police Department and everyone at the tremendous actions that were taken up in the investigation. And I'm very grateful to report that charges have been filed successfully against the assailant, and that seems to be moving on properly. While this is very tough and a very tough time for us, I also do have some good news, and that our driver, Jonathan Cobb, is actually doing amazingly okay. He is still in critical condition, but he has left the ICU, and his prognosis is better than expected. He has actually started to breathe on his own. And most of this information is from his family, of course. And we simply ask that you keep him in your prayers and think of Jonathan and his family during this very difficult time. But one thing I really want to point out to everybody is that Jonathan, who worked for us for 9 years and worked 6 and 7 days a week and has been out there on the front lines, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, we have hundreds of Jonathan Cobbs who deserve our support, and I'm very glad to support them. And I think we all should be kind of keeping them in our thoughts and prayers as they're out still moving St. Louis County. And as a matter of fact, I'm very grateful that tomorrow night, Councilwoman Clancy is moving forward a resolution honoring our frontline operators, and I'll have a couple with me tomorrow night in a resolution that the County Council has graciously decided to move forward And I just want to let everybody on this call know that and let all of you know how grateful we are for that kind of support. So I know everybody wanted to know what some updates as far as that is concerned. I will leave some of the more practical updates to Kevin Scott when we get to security, as Kevin and his team, along with me and in consultation with our ops side, have created an aggressive plan at trying to reassure our workforce and doing everything that we can. Of course, I do want to remind everybody we cannot be on every bus, we cannot be on every street corner, but that does not mean that we can't respond. And we have responded, and I'm grateful that we've done what we can so far. But I'll leave the details to Kevin as he moves forward. Also, I just did discuss briefly with Jessica this morning, actually, and Jessica mentioned that the county's planning team is moving forward with the AECOM study on their portion of looking at the north side, hopefully Metrolink extension. So that's very good news, especially that there is parallel contracts with the city and county at looking at the alignment in a joint effort. Look, folks, I will tell you that kind of coordination has been very hard for us to break through in the St. Louis region. And I think I'm very grateful to the county for making that effort and being sure that this is a partnership between city and county. Paul mentioned a little bit about the CE's commitment there. This is very, very strong. And that is a new effort and new with this administration and new with a lot of people working together on that basis. So I will just tell you that I'm optimistic about those initial steps. So I know that was a lot, but I know everybody wanted to hear some of that update, especially with our operator, Jonathan Cobb. And I really appreciate everybody just keeping our employees top of mind as they're still out there. You know, all through the pandemic and all through these difficult things, they showed up for those early shifts and for those late afternoon shifts, and they still do that every single day. So please, all the respect and solidarity in regards to our operator corps who's out there every single day. So with that, I'm going to just stop and pause and see if there's any specific questions.
Toby, not a question, just a comment. Wanted to thank you for providing the commission with that update. It was greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, Chair. Yep, I know. I thank you for being respectful that we were just throwing information out. It was a very dynamic environment, but luckily we have a circumstance where, and hopefully my grammar and spelling was all okay, but we were trying to move forward as quickly as possible. So of course, I'll try to continue to do that. My staff is really good at contributing different pieces to that. And really they deserve the credit, but I just wanted to be sure that you all were kept in the loop. So thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
Ms. Carter, I don't have any further updates. Did you have a specific question?
No, I don't. Can you kind of go over ridership trends for us?
Sure. So we're continuing to operate at about 50% of our pre-pandemic ridership. With our most recent service adjustment, we are now operating about 85% of pre-pandemic Metrobus service. We're still at over 90% of pre-pandemic Metrolink service. With ridership being suppressed, we are confident that we can handle in almost all cases the customer demand that we're facing. We are struggling a little bit, as we often do this time of year, to respond to changes in demand. A lot of that tends to be related to employers that have a holiday employment surge. So those are retail centers, but especially right now, some of our shipping and distribution points. So a lot of those places happen to be in Hazelwood and Earth City, for instance. So we are monitoring ridership trends on a daily basis. We have transit service managers in the field who are focused on those routes where we are most concerned about potential overcrowding. We're also continuing to move through our workforce shortage, and that's the reason we actually reduced service last Monday, November 29th. We remain short of Metrobus, Metrolink, and Metro Coloride operators. We reduced to this level, hoping we can sustain here for now. And then as we graduate new classes of operators, we'll be able to add them first, repopulating our extra board so that we can fill all of our scheduled runs. We're relying a lot right now on overtime and also on managers driving every day. So we need to alleviate that. And then as we look toward 2022, we expect to begin restoring some of that reduced service in summer of 2022. So for right now, we are really trying to just move through these difficult winter months in times of workforce shortage. The winter months, by the way, also happen to be our lowest ridership month. So we are really trying to ramp up in time for that spring, summer ridership surge. Any questions on ridership or performance trends? Okay, thank you.
Jessica, a quick
Yes,
question. What does the VIA ridership look like now that those 6 routes have been suspended for now and the other routes have been truncated?
Yeah, Kim, I don't have an update on VIA. We do have an update meeting with them tomorrow. It's just been a week now since that expansion has actually been in place. So we can give you an update after we receive that from VIA.
And how many of the riders are you hearing from that have been impacted by the service changes?
Could you repeat that? There's some background noise.
How
Did you say
many-
how many?
How many? I mean, are you getting a lot of emails, calls, or has it been pretty quiet? I'm just trying to gauge.
Absolutely. Most of that conversation has happened actually before the November 29th service change. So in addition to our normal communication channels, things like rider alerts, signage, announcements, alerts on the transit app and on our website, we also had staff out actually writing the impacted routes in advance, beginning 2 weeks prior to the change, and also placed at transit centers in those 2 weeks leading up to the change and on that week of the change, which was last week, to help customers orient to the new schedules and in some instances the changed service from Metrobus over to VIA. Some of those points were Ballas Transit Center, Riverview Transit Center, and North County Transit Center. So there, as there always is with the significant service change, especially a reduction, we hear from a lot of customers. I think the team is doing a good job at supporting them, providing answers to questions, and helping them complete their journey.
I just have one more question. Is there any thought of adjusting the VIA service that is filling the gap where we have suspended routes? We're hearing from lots of riders that they're now having to transfer from VIA to a bus to Metrolink versus just taking their express bus to Metrolink. So is there some thought that maybe in this interim we could expand that VIA service to take them directly to Metrolink to eliminate one of those transfers?
So then the nice thing about VIA is that it is scalable. At this moment in time, though, we are not equipped to expand it. We are utilizing all of the resources that VIA has to bring to bear. They did increase both their workforce and their fleet to meet this new challenge. We need to let this stabilize before we did any further expansion. I should add that we're also filling in some places, a lot of places actually, with Lyft. Now, in the case of the express service, this is difficult because these are pretty long one-way trips, and long trips typically do require a transfer on the system. I know we heard a lot from customers on routes like the 57X, which serves communities like Baldwin and Clarkson Valley. And so having VIA actually operate just from those locations and take up that vehicle to make that one-way trip to the final destination, which happens to be Central West End, for a lot of those customers to avoid a transfer would consume a tremendous amount of the resources that we have to bring to bear. So for right now, we'll hold the course. We're continuing to look at other solutions and what our gaps are. We're leveraging Lyft right now. We had a hard time fielding our service last weekend after Jonathan Cobb was shot because of attendance, and we used both VIA and Lyft a lot, pretty dynamically on those evenings to get customers home. I'm pleased to report that our attendance has stabilized quite a bit, though, in recent days. So stay tuned, but do bear in mind that for those long distance trips, that takes those vehicles out of service for a long time.
I understand, but we're just hearing from a lot of riders. I feel like we may be losing a lot of discretionary riders because of that. So I think it's a catch-22.
Yeah, we too are concerned about that. Do bear in mind that on the express trips, we were averaging less than 6 passengers on those trips. So it's a very difficult decision, and we regret any time we have to reduce service, especially in communities where our only footprint might be a little bit of local, some express, and some call ride service. So our goal is to restore that as quickly as possible. And like I said, try and spread our Via and Lyft resources out as they ramp up.
I don't have any other questions, Deborah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with questions?
Yeah, Deborah, it's Linda. Jessica, just out of curiosity, Monday, you know, when all the tornadoes were going on and sirens are going off, what do the buses and Metrolink, what do they do? Where do they go?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So we do cover 550 square miles. And so our response to weather events like that are very local. So unlike an ice storm or snowstorm that roughly impacts our region pretty equally, we have to respond to the warnings that are in specific areas. And so we're relying on our operations control center to direct our operators. A lot of times they'll hold at a transit center if they are en route. Oftentimes the best option for them is to continue in service. If they get to a transit center, then they have the opportunity, if we have a large enough space, to offload the customers into the transit centers. We didn't actually have to do that on Friday night during the tornado event. All of our vehicles were able to continue in service. We also didn't sustain any damage. We lost power on some portions of Metrolink for a little while, but we were able to get battery backup up so that it didn't actually impact our operations. But so to answer your questions, for storm events and tornadoes, it's really local. And so we have to rely on communication between our operators and the control centers, and then management. You know, people like me are on the phone providing some direction on the strategy. And then, of course, as ever, we empower our operators to make a decision. If they see or experience something in their service area that is unsafe, they are empowered to self-reroute back to a depot or a transit center. Does that answer your question? It's a big moving operation.
Yeah, thank you. It was just one of those things that dawned on me. Where do you put the Metro bus or the Metrolink cars or whatever? So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jessica, anything significant with Colorado?
So with Colorado, we are continuing to experience denials, but Colorado is one team where we've had recent success, and we've got a couple of Colorado operator classes in progress right now, and I am delighted by that. We anticipate in the month of January, we'll experience a pretty significant reduction in the number of ADA denials. This is a frequent topic of conversation. There is a certain a couple of different approaches one could take in dealing with the workforce shortage with paratransit. We could reduce our paratransit service area as we have reduced our service footprint for fixed route bus. I'm reluctant to do that though, because we want this to be very temporary. We want to expand that footprint for bus service as quickly as possible. So I don't want to marginalize those customers who would otherwise be outside our Colorado 3/4 mile area. And so I'm going to hang on to this hope that the 2 classes in progress are going to bear fruit, and we'll be able to field more trips next month.
Okay, thank you, Jessica.
Any other questions for me? Okay, and we'll continue to report back on ridership. It's been a very active week between our service reduction last Monday, the events that unfolded over the weekend, and then the storm on Monday night. So I'm hoping for a quiet time and looking forward to a solid week of more normal performance so we can report back to you next month.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Tammy, you ready to go?
Yes, good afternoon. So I will just give you a breakdown year to date of where we are. So if you look at October, it looks like we are up 78 million. But if you remember in the last meeting, we talked about the fact that we brought in our CARES funding that we were going to need for the year. This gave us an opportunity to apply for other funding that was available. So of that 78 million, you can, if you look, you'll see that 70 million is on that federal line where we are up, and then we are down on passenger revenue by about 1.6 million, and St. Louis County sales tax is down about 3 million, so that's offsetting that. Also in our expenses, we're down on salaries and benefits, and that's primarily due to the worker shortage. So we're down about 4.1 million. Services is down primarily due to timing, and that's down about 4.2 million. And then our materials and supplies are down by about 3 million, and that's primarily due to the supply chain and just, you know, getting through some of our maintenance, things that we're trying to work on and getting those parts in. So that's where we are to date, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Tammy. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Ted, you're up next.
All right, so the last tab in your book is on Marcom, and page 1 of that tab just covers share of sentiment. 97, almost 98% of our share of sentiment is either in the positive or in the neutral lane at this point in time. Our negative sentiment was a little bit over 2%. But you know, the announcement that Kevin will talk about a little bit later about some of the new advances that he has coming onto the system in January, those were announced during the same time period. You know, transformations of the Belleville Transit Center by CMT and some folks doing some of that. Those are all positive stories that have really helped us to kind of change those trends. So when we look at share of sentiment, and you can see the historical rolling number on that, this October is the lowest that we've had as far as negative sentiment. So those good news stories do pay off, but as you can see on page 1, when we go through the life of Metro Transit, we have our ups and downs as far as news. Most of our October activity continued to cover COVID-19, our safety, our recruitment, and then general promotions of some of our services such as Transit app, as well as the VIA as far as 5 free rides, and then also Metro Fest happened during that same time period. Just to kind of keep it quick and down and dirty, back in October, there was an article and there was news reports about St. Louis having the 6th highest transportation costs in the United States. So we took advantage of that and put some print ads out there talking about why it's less expensive to ride Metro. An example of that ad and some of our other ads that we've been hosting is on page 7 of your binder as well. And then over this past summer and the months that we've had, we've been working with a young man and his team to talk about Metro in a different way. Sam on Metro is something that we just recently released. I'll send you updated links. I know they're in your packet, but it's not easy for you to click on something that's in paper. So I'll update that so you have those as well. But Sam on Metro just really kind of covers what people are thinking about Metro, you know, how cool it is to ride, safety, convenience, and then also Sam on Better. So talking about the improvements that have been made over the last 24 months plus on the system, and really kind of using a guy on the streets in order to find out what people are saying. So it's a little bit different than some of the other videos that we've done, but again, I'll update those in an email after we finish with that. And then the final thing is, I know that everyone's thinking about those holiday gifts. And so when was the last time you considered giving the gift of transit to someone? Anyway, I'll send you a link to a new video that we're doing on that. You can go to metrostore.org as well and purchase those holiday gifts using Metro Transit as a great opportunity for all of our family and friends and those people that we want to say thank you to. You can buy them transit passes for the holidays. At that, I'll leave it to any questions. Other than that, it's a happy holidays to you all.
Thanks, Ted. Any questions?
I don't have any, thank you.
Okay. I like the gift of transit. How was that working out so far?
Well, it just started December 1st, so it's, you know, kind of quiet from that perspective, but it's out there and it's something that you can do all the time. So we're just using this as our first launch pad for looking at transit as a gift idea, and we'll have additional ones coming throughout the coming months as well. So
Okay.
I'll send you the videos. They're quite good.
Okay, thank you. Anything from County Transportation?
Well, we're getting into our busy application season. We're trying to incorporate recommendations from our action plan for biking and walking into our applications this year. So including more ADA sidewalk upgrades, some bicycle lanes, shared use paths, things like that into the projects that we're applying for this time around. And beyond that, we're continuing to work with Metro at bus stops where we can. I know we've been involved with the Mobility Hub project, looking at how we can coordinate and come up with locations and types of stops that work for both of our systems together. And we also got the federal funding, or a large chunk of federal funding for our West Florissant Great Streets project. So that's going to expand the scope of the project we were working on from just the intersection at Chambers and West Florissant to more of that entire West Florissant corridor. So we'll be working with Metro on that as well to make sure that the stops that we're designing into the Great Street project will also work for future plans with whether it be with BRT or just regular bus stops. But again, kind of working with that in the same fashion as the Mobility Hub project.
Okay, thanks, Ray. I'm glad to hear that you're going to be involved with that improvement project, Chambers and West Florissant. You can keep us updated on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We've got Kevin and we've got Rachel. So I don't know who wants to start, but the one comment, the one issue that I really wanted you all to discuss was your Metrolink task force summaries that are distributed to the community. I don't think that I ever really was aware of that, and that you did it. I think it's on a quarterly basis, and you want to talk about that and tell us when you send it out and how often. And
Sure, I'll be more than happy to do that. As you know, we produce Metrolink incident data every quarter, every calendar quarter, and that's sent out. So, and we provide copies to you for that. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. We also post the data publicly and send it out to our regional stakeholders as well. So that's done at the end of every calendar quarter. And that information is composed here at Metro, but the data is generated by the police task force. Those are the numbers from the three jurisdictions that we contract with.
okay, any response from the community regarding those reports?
I would have to defer to Ted on that. I have not received any response directly from the community other than just different stakeholder groups that we share the information with.
No, ma'am, on the responses.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And then,
you can keep going.
Sure. So I would like to defer to my colleague, Rachel Major. She's going to give the police task force update, and I'll be happy to discuss the shooting if you have any questions and what we're doing in response to that.
Thank you, Kevin. I definitely appreciate all the efforts from Kevin and his team with the data that we provide them and their analysts for the reporting and such. We, throughout the last year, have really made an effort to increase our proactive policing and the partnerships with Metro to make this not a reactionary security effort, but a proactive effort to really support our community and their safety has been very successful. We have seen through those numbers that we provide just a remarkable impact in keeping all of our ridership safe. Captain Webb has definitely taken that step to the next level with me, pretty much. I am, as the investigative intelligence analyst going to be working very closely with Kevin Scott and all of the crew at Metro to use the investigative for proactive policing efforts, using open source investigations to really stay ahead of any concerns, any of the information that's going on that would relate to our riders and their safety. Situations like, with the operator with Mr. Cobb, we will be able to hopefully get ahead of future incidents using that intelligence and doing the best we can to using that community policing effort through the intelligence. And it's been a couple months of me being in seat and trying to get trained up for your purposes specifically, and we're ready to roll. And I'm very optimistic for next year. Aside from, the intelligence stuff specifically, the other priorities that we have for 2022 within the task force is really working on our legislative partnerships. When you have 3 police departments that are working in a myriad of municipalities along the alignment, we have encountered some issues with making sure that everybody is on the right page and the same page when it comes to prosecution. We have been working very closely with some of our municipalities to get better about effective communication with prosecution. We can, as county police officers, they can work for the state and federal charges, and the municipal charges that may be available are something that we're going to have to work on getting a little better at. And that's going to be our big priority for 2022, is working through the legislation, working through the partnerships and the agreements to make everything a lot easier for everybody and a lot safer.
Thank you, Rachel, and welcome to our meeting. Any questions for Rachel or Kevin?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments concerning the meeting in general?
It's Linda.
Go ahead.
You're on mute. Muted.
Okay, do you have any clue when we're going to go back to meeting in person? Because
I do not.
I really hate this. I don't have real good bandwidth, so the speakers and stuff, I miss half of what they're saying. And,
I do not. I mean, it's just been a very frustrating and confusing process at this point, Linda, and they are not giving me any heads up on anything. So all I keep getting is, I'll let you know. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
No, thank you,
Okay.
Deborah, for your leadership on this, especially during the challenging times. So thank you.
You're welcome. And you want to know how many times I was going to quit? It's just been that confusing. But anyway, thank you all for your participation. And I want to wish everyone a happy holiday. And hopefully, well, Linda, I'll see you video conference January 10th. Sorry.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Here, here. I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, see y'all next year.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.